of the strongest, no, not one of, the strongest tornado that day occurred in the state of Illinois. And this is one of the statements from someone who received the weather alert on their phone. Daniel Bennett was officiating Sunday services before 600 to 700 people when 24 phones started going off in service. Many townspeople said those messages helped minimize deaths and injuries. Another person, my phone was alerting. That's why, despite the disaster you see, there was minimal loss of life. This is something that has occurred within the past, 2 to 5 years that we've started getting these alerts on our phone. I can't say enough about them because the general public, let's be honest, you guys aren't looking for warnings, are you? You might be. I like it. But the general public is not looking out for warnings, whether they be tornado or severe thunderstorm. A lot of people may not be watching TV during the afternoon on a Sunday, so they wouldn't know about it either. So really, strong part of the WeatherReady initiative is having these warnings pop on your phone so that people are becoming more aware of what's going on around them. Forecast, whether it be Storm Prediction Center, whether it be National Weather Service, detection, our office, also spotters out in the field, folks that are giving us an idea of what's going on. Dissemination, I know you guys don't have weather radios, but still a part of our package at the National Weather Service. The warnings you get on your phone, dissemination, you can have all of these. Forecast, detection, dissemination. Everything goes perfectly. If you don't do that one, if you don't respond, and we can't make you respond. You don't do this, what does it matter? What does it matter if we had the most perfect forecast that we've had in a decade, but nobody does anything about it? That's why we're harping so much on this WeatherReady initiative thing, to get folks to get off your behind when you get a warning or you hear something's going on. But even before you get the warning, be weather aware. Know that there's a possible strong, severe thunderstorm day coming. It's all about keeping yourself aware and having a plan, then knowing when to put the plan into motion. So, same day, event is winding down. We know there had been tornadoes. Now we need to go into, well, somebody's got to survey these tornadoes. Who's available? Because the next day is a Monday. We should have more staffing, more people in the office. Who's available to go out and do damage surveys? Is there any additional weather that we need to be concerned about? Is there snow along the, it was November. Is there snow along the backside? Multiple stops, multiple vehicles. We had, as I said before, 7 tornadoes just within this county alone. Tornadoes ranging all the way from Knox County through Boone County and then up this way. So that particular day was, we went out all the next day and then also the next day, and then a couple of days after that, we still had folks going out finding more damage. So when you have a big event like that, staffing, any additional weather, all of that is very important. Also, estimating the location of damage tracks. It's something we were talking to your teacher about not too long ago, which is something that you guys could possibly help us with the some of the social media data mining that you're doing now, is giving us a more precise location of where some of this damage is occurring. Because right now, sometimes we have specific data as to where it's located, but some of these tornadoes were pretty small and pretty brief. And we had to kind of go searching or run across it in the case of some of these that were in Tippecanoe County. So that helps us when we have some sort of an estimate of where the damage is located. Post-event, public safety. So in June of 2012, there was a strong straight line wind event. They call it a derecho. It's a long, widespread, strong straight line wind event. moving all the way from, I think it was Iowa, all the way through West Virginia, okay? 90-mile-per-hour winds in Fort Wayne, lots of power outages. There were a number of deaths the next day. Why? No. There were a number of deaths. Remember, this is June 2012, I think. And it wasn't directly because of the storm.
Almost a year without a winter.
Nobody? Give me a guess.
Fires.
You're on the same. You're on the wavelength, but heat. We were experiencing. I yelled it. Did I wake you? I'm kidding. No. So there was extreme heat. We were dealing with triple-digit temperatures, not only here in Indiana, but also further north as you go into northern Illinois and into lower Michigan. So because of the high heat and because the strong winds went through, power was down. Folks weren't getting air, cool air. So there were a number of deaths after that. So our job doesn't stop with warning and then surveying. Our continued forecast will continue to help folks and getting the word out of what's happening so that folks know, hey, power's out, we're going to have high heat, check on the elderly, find a different place to go, somewhere that has power that you can shelter while we're dealing with this extreme high heat. As I mentioned before, performing surveys and then any sort of decision support that we have to do with emergency managers as they go through the relief and recovery effort. For storm surveys, first we determine whether or not it's needed. We contact the particular county that it's in, talk to the emergency managers or deputy, they give us an idea of where it's located. We'll meet with that county official out at the spot so that they can kind of take us through with what they've seen. We do the survey, we provide an initial assessment if it's, and we'll talk about some of the EF scale later, if it's EF3 damage or greater, sometimes a quick response team is needed to come out and do some further surveying, whether or not it may need to be not EF3 or greater, but greater than EF3, whether or not there needs to be an EF4, EF5 determination put on it as well. And then we return back to the National Weather Service office where we do more detailed analysis, and then we post our results on the internet. We send them out through a number of different avenues so that the media folks have it, because they really, really love to have that information so that they can send it out as well. Some of the key questions when we're out at a site. Does it look like tornado? Does it look like strong downburst straight line winds? If it's a tornado, we need to determine how long, how wide, starting and ending points obviously, and then what kind of enhanced Fujita intensity or rating that we want to assign to it. And just to let you know, the EF scale is not a wind scale. While there are winds that are associated with it, it is a damage scale. And we'll get into a little bit of that here shortly. Weak tornadoes, your EF0s to EF1, 65 to 110 miles per hour. Strong tornadoes, EF2 to EF5, 111 to 234 miles per hour. So while most of the tornadoes are of this weak variety, 86% of all tornadoes, only 5% of all deaths. Why is that? What are some of the characteristics of strong tornadoes that would have them produce 95% of all the deaths, even though it's only 14% of all tornadoes?
Like moving really heavy objects or something?
So, yes, they move really heavy objects, but, yes.
Is it that they're wider, so they affect larger areas?
There have been some weak tornadoes that have been wide. Yes.
They last longer?
They last longer. Path length, 1 to 60 miles, and that's general. Path length for your weak tornadoes, typically less than a mile. So, in essence, it has more opportunity to hit more things. Also, Lifetime, weak tornadoes, less than 10 minutes. Lifetime strong tornadoes, generally 10 minutes to an hour. So for the most part, 95% of these deaths occur mainly because it has more opportunity to hit more things. And despite what people think, it's not necessarily the tornado that kills you, it's what? It's the stuff that the tornado has hit and is throwing around at hundreds of miles per hour that then hits you and kills you. Here is a depiction of one of the tornadoes. Quick radar deal. On the left, reflectivity. The warmer colors means heavier rainfall, hail. On the right, this is your velocity. Red, outbound, away from the radar. Radar down this location. Red out, green in towards the radar. There's your area of stronger circulation there. This particular tornado came through west of here. I believe this particular middle school was called Southwestern Middle School. I think that's correct. What happened, I was actually out on this survey with a colleague of mine, Earl Breon, and what we assumed happened is the wind tries to find a way in. And when wind tries to find a way in, wind's trying to find that way out. So this particular gymnasium had some kind of industrial-sized vents on the side. Wind found its way in. Notice, most of these walls are collapsed outward. On the backside, they were as well. Winds were trying to find a way out as well. This is the town of Malat. Once again, red outbound, green inbound towards the radar. There's your area of circulation. Decent mobile home park there in Malat. This particular slab is now empty. All of this debris coming from one or more of those mobile homes. One thing I like to tell folks, if somebody ever asks you, hey, you're sitting around at the local favorite bar and you get to talking about weather, which I think you all do, and somebody asks, well, hey, what am I supposed to do, or what are the people supposed to do if they're in a mobile home? Well, one thing I like to tell folks is, you really need to be weather aware. You need to know when something might be coming, and then have a plan to go elsewhere if it were to occur. A lot of you probably live in apartment complexes. So what do? My wife and I, when we were in Kansas City, we used to live in an apartment complex, and we had a hospital pretty much just adjacent to the apartment complex. I used to tell my wife, anytime there's weather, I'm not here. I'll try to let you know about it ahead of time. Be watching the news station, wherever you get your weather. When you see something coming, go to the hospital. They're not going to say you can't come in. Take shelter. Try to have a plan ahead of time. If you're in a mobile home or you're in a apartment complex that may not offer you more shelter, if you're in an apartment complex, try to find a friend down on the lowest level. Say, hey, if anything were to happen, can I take shelter with you? Mobile home. Trying to find a friend that has a more structure, a heftier structure that you can take shelter in, lowest, most interior portion of your dwelling. So why do we do damage surveys? Advance the science, get a better understanding